It's Friday, it's Friday. I don't have any more words to the song, but it's Friday, it's Friday. I'm gonna keep it short and not keep it long. Happy Friday, everybody. So glad that you're here. Oh, good morning, everybody. Good morning. Good morning, good morning, good morning.
Hello.
I'm looking at the, okay, you're all on here.
I like to know where people are watching from.
I don't really care.
She says she doesn't care.
I don't care.
I like to care.
You've seen one Tulsa, you've seen them all.
You see a Texas, you see a Florida, but if we see all 50 states, we're gonna make
out. We're gonna make out on here.
So let us know.
Somebody in North Dakota is like, I will absolutely not write anything down.
I will not be the one
I will be
pushes this over the edge.
That's exactly right. Well, hey, we're glad that you're here this morning. I'm so glad it's Friday because guess what the Radkes are about to do? We're going out of town. We're headed out of town. Okay?
Leaving in a small car.
Yeah. Hey, we're going to Texas A&M. And we're going to Baylor. We're going to show them to the girl. Okay? I'm going to tell you right now, she ain't going to go to either of those places. And I'll tell you why. Because you've built them up too much.
I haven't built them up
Yes,
at all.
you have, David. I love you. But, baby, you're parenting all wrong. And, and you need to come to me and ask me how to do it. If it sounds like a school that we are the least bit excited about, that we like the location of it, that we once had a friend who went there, she marks it off of her mental list. I'm telling you right now.
I don't believe it.
I do. The other day, I was flipping through Facebook, and I said, oh, look, Remi, and I turned my phone around, and it was a girl here locally and a boy, okay, both a boy and a girl, holding up there, I've just been accepted to be the loudest, proudest, fightingest, gigglest Aggie. And she was like, well, I'm not going. Now, it is a school of 70,000 students.
Registration is the largest ever this fall. 77,000. That's over twice the size of our small town.
Right.
Yet those two people, I don't think we've ever seen in a restaurant in our small town. But she's going to see them there.
Yeah, she's like, nope, not going to go. Then there's Baylor, which, like, we would love for her to go there. But I can't tell her that. So you always say things like, can you imagine being a Baylor Bear? I know so many Baylor Bears. They're great people. They got great businesses. Blah, blah. And she's written it off. What I'm doing is this. Baylor sucks. I wouldn't go to Baylor. Everybody there smokes and drinks. Don't go to Baylor. It is full of heathens and scoundrels. That's what we have to do.
That's how you do it?
That's how you do it.
I don't think so. We're just trying to get her in the thought process. Her and I haven't had like an official visit, but we've walked around SMU before. Actually, next weekend, we're getting to go with one of our friends to a TCU football game. Mm-hmm. So again, it won't be an official visit, but we'll get to look around the campus and go to the football game. We're just trying to get her thinking and seeing the difference in a state school, a private school, large, smaller.
So what do we do, David? In the week leading up to the TCU, I'm looking at your comments right now. Everybody hush. In the week leading up to the TCU game, let's decide now as a team, okay, what we're going to do in the weeks leading up.
Horn frog, don't they give you warts or something?
Okay, every time you go to a game, people say you're horny because you're a horn frog. People say you're horny, and I mean that would be horrible. What's something else?
What's that? They're purple. Oh no, she likes purple. Okay, that doesn't work.
Really, the biggest thing you can pull out is they're purple. Okay, you're supposed to say things like this. I hear the president has a real vaping problem.
We're not going to start rumors and lies.
And the president of TCU is a real piece of work. So we're excited about that. But this weekend it's going to be fun. And Saturday, tomorrow, we're going to go to the Alabama Roll Tide Roll and Giggle Aggie football game. And I always say, I've never been to a college football game. But that's not even sort of true because I've been in Mississippi State. But that's the only one.
You never went to a bandy game with me?
No, never. And I think I'm going to end up wearing what I wore to Mississippi State. I hope nobody remembers it.
Well, it's the same It's the same maroon.
I'm wearing the same thing I wore to Mississippi State, and I don't want people to be like, I think I saw her in that at another maroon game. Gotcha. But the dress was just too short, and I don't know how I feel about. I just keep saying to myself, "Keep losing weight, Melissa. Keep losing weight, Melissa." But I don't feel like that's going to make me shorter.
It's not going to shrink. Yeah.
But there's a lot of hopes I'm pinning on that dress.
Do you have a lot of built up fat like in the bed of your feet that's gonna?
Actually, when you lose weight, you lose weight in your shoe. I've gone down half a size. That's the honest truth. I haven't gone down half a size.
But have you shrunk?
No, but I got a lot of calluses on my heels. I already get that pedicured right off.
So if you just go get a pedicure today.
What if that dress came down to my knees? All right, we've got so much to discuss today, David. We shouldn't be
You know what today is? Today is Pop Culture Friday. It's one of our favorite days of the week here on the Radke Show, where we are talking podcasts, TVs, movies, books, you name it. What do you have in store for us today?
Me?
Yeah.
Well, thanks for directing it all towards me.
I can talk about my podcast, but they're marketing and AI.
Absolutely not AI. He's listening to a podcast about AI. Does anybody else want to blink their eye out with a fork? I would. No, I want to talk about podcasts first because I've just been so blasé about them. I can't get into them. Ever since I listened to Sweet Bobby and Scamanda, everything else sounds like trash. But, a long time ago, about a year ago, I paid my money so that I could get everything that NBC has. All the Dateline, you have to pay for that.
They don't just have their...
No! You got to pay for it.
Those dang peacocks.
So, I did. I paid my money, and then I got a thing the other day that said it's just about to renew. And I decided, no, I'm not going to renew it. And so it told me, if you don't have to renew, you can cancel, but your membership will still be good until October 23rd. So I just made it a point when I got in my car the other day, yes, to listen to something. And Dateline does have a really good one. So if you're paying already like I was, listen to Murder in Apartment 12, a Dateline exclusive by Keith, narrated by Keith Morrison. It has my favorite Keith Morrison line of all time.
Or was she?
No, it has my favorite Keith Morrison line of all time. It comes in episode 2. It's a good one, too. It's called Murder in Apartment 12. And the whole time I was saying out loud, I'm not going to tell you if I was saying he did it or he didn't do it, but I was saying one of those things the whole time. And Rocco was in the car one day with his phone, and he's like, "You're really getting into this." I'm like, "I am," because I feel like I know this guy. Okay, I feel like I know his inner workings. But on the end of episode 2, when the girl had been found murdered, everyone in the town got together to mourn her death. And then he goes like this.
Vigil.
Yeah, like a vigil. And then Margie Huckabee said, "Let's pray." Rocco goes, "Are you going to get that on a sweatshirt?" And it should just be a picture of Keith Morrison. And then Margie Huckabee said, "Let's pray." And that's what I want. It's a good one. But it got me to thinking. I was driving home from Houston on Sunday night, and it got me to thinking, well, Dateline isn't the only one. They got 48 hours. They've got 2020. And I don't believe they're making you pay. So I started at 2020. And it's pretty good right now. I don't know if the wife killed him in the driveway or not. I don't know. Chances are she did.
So is Dateline the only one that's charging?
From what I understand, knowing my luck, they're all charging it every time I hit to play them. They're charging me, but I don't think so. Do y'all know if 2020 and 48 hours, like 48 hours? Now that's my favorite show to watch. Over Dateline, over 2020, I like 48 hours. That's mine. That's my favorite.
Over Dateline? I don't know that.
It is absolutely my favorite. And, but so I'm listening to those right now. So there's not necessarily a specific podcast that I'm currently into other than Murder in Apartment 12, but so that's kind of what I'm on.
I think another good thing to do, though, if you had such good experience with some kind of anger and murder ones, is maybe flip it.
Flip the script?
Flip it and do something maybe, fun, encouraging, lighthearted, motivational.
Like how to find joy in your life? Yeah. I'd rather die than listen to that.
But if you go to that side, it's like, when Taylor comes out with another tour in 2 years, she can't keep going up like this forever. Maybe she's got one
Yes,
more.
she can, sir.
At one point, she's got to come back down and do like an acoustic strip down. You got to reset. You
Yeah,
can't
yeah,
just
yeah,
keep
yeah,
going.
true.
You can't go. So just reset with some love, joy, peace.
And there are plenty of podcasts like that, like how to find the joy in the everyday life. Remember, how to read your Bible and color on the pages, and how to look at your family through a lens of love. I'm not going to listen to that trash. I'm not going to listen to it. I know how to look at these
I definitely don't
idiots
want you,
through the lens of love.
I definitely don't want you to listen to the one talking about coloring while you're driving. That's not.
Yeah, how to color in your Bible. I'm going to do it while I'm driving.
That's not a good one. Well, I got one for TV. This is not like a new one by any means.
You better not take the one I want to talk about.
You do?
That we just finished?
Yeah.
You're not taking that from me.
Well,
Get your own show. Quit watching something other than trazillions. Gajillions.
Those aren't out yet.
Billions, millions, and cajillions. Don't you dare.
Well, I thought you were going to talk about your other one.
No.
I feel like you talked about that last
All I wanted to say is, I'm still watching Sons of Anarchy. David and I, as you know, we had car trouble. And yesterday morning, we took our car in. And we took it to the Mayans.
And
okay, we pulled in there to drop it off. And I'm telling you right now, I felt like we were dropping it off at the Mayans. And I wanted to say that to David, but I would be afraid that he would be scared to walk in. Although they're not going to hurt you unless they know you're a Sam Crow. And you're not a Sam Crow.
I don't feel like
you're just an innocent. That's what they call innocent.
Just an innocent.
You're just an innocent.
Yeah.
So I'm still watching Sons of Anarchy. And by the way, the only reason I put it on the board to talk about today was because someone who is sitting with me, I won't say who, is starting to watch them with me. They're starting to pay attention.
I watched one half episode because I did like the fact that I could start to call you my old lady and not get in trouble.
He goes, what did he just say? I said, that's what they referred to him as, their old lady.
I'm all into this show. If I get to call you old lady and not get things thrown at me.
Okay, the show that he wanted to tell y'all about, I am so happy to tell you. It's been out for a while, but David and I just finished it. And had we known how it was going to wrap up, we would have finished it a lot sooner. We stalled out in the middle of Daisy Jones and the Six. Daisy Jones and the Six is on Amazon Prime. It's based off of a best-selling book that came out a year or two ago. And it is up for a lot of Emmy Awards.
Like
for actor and actress and movie and writing. And
like maybe 9, something like that.
It's done really, really well. So we're a little late on this bandwagon. No pun intended, it's a band. We're a little late. But the reason is because it started off super strong. And then in the middle, it just kind of got depressing a little bit because it is about a band in the 60s and 70s. And there was so much drug use and alcoholism, and none of them are happy. And it's just, but that's all part of the story. So if you're like us and you gave it a try and you were like, oh, I don't know, stay with it. And let me tell you why. The last episode, there's only 10 episodes. The last episode is awesome. It's awesome. You know, we didn't read the book, so we didn't know how this would turn out. And it did not turn out like I thought.
And I believe I read somewhere that the show is slightly different than the book, especially on the ending.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I believe so. But it was just really good. I like music, you know, I mean, I wouldn't say mockumentary, but, you know, it's kind of a, you know, it's not actually a documentary.
Okay, you need to explain that because people are going to think you shouldn't have said that. It's a show.
It's just a show.
And it's set up to be like a VH1 behind the music. Yeah. It's kind of set up to be like that.
Yeah. But I really like that stuff. Melissa, so depends on who it is. But what Melissa hates more than anything is anything filmed in the 60s and 70s.
Or not filmed in, but that time period. I don't like it. Even murder shows. If you were murdered in the 70s, I don't care. But I don't like the music of the 70s. I don't like the look. I don't like anything that felt like everybody was just sweaty and lustful. And I just don't want any part of it. It's the truth.
But we finally gave it a try. And yeah, like she said, the first couple were really good. Then it kind of bottomed for a little bit just because it was heavy. Push through if you haven't. And if you haven't started at all, it's worth it. It's a really...
Well, you know, Carson Daly was on doing Pop Star a couple weeks ago, and he mentioned it when all the Emmy nominations were coming out, and he was talking about what a great, great show it is. And he said, and if you think that's great, he said, just get in your car and go to Spotify and turn on Daisy Jones and the Six. It's all the music.
Oh, really?
And it's the actor singing it. And you need to know that the lead girl in it is Elvis's granddaughter. So it's
I knew it was her. So it's
Lisa Marie's daughter.
So it's the guy too? He's actually singing?
He's singing
Oh, I
as
didn't
well.
know if he was too.
So it's Lisa Marie's daughter in real life, and she can sing. She can sing, and Sam Claflin is the star, and he can sing, and they sing together. But the way it turns out, I was just like, David, I loved this last episode. I had no idea how it was going to end, and it was a really, really great one to end on. So, yay, they wrapped it up great. And it's not going to be a season 2 because, it was a book, so it's done.
And for those of you asking, I would use discretion in, having kids watch it. I mean, older
Is it for
teenagers maybe, but I mean, there's obviously some, drug references and. Nothing really sexual or anything like that, but language here and there and stuff like that.
But it's adult themed. It's adult themed. I don't know. On that last episode, it said,
at the top of the screen, at the top of the screen, it says what it is.
You got tickled because it was like
it had everything.
Drug references, sexual situations, language,
smoking,
devil worship. No, I didn't say devil worship.
It had a little bit of it all, but
it's too heavy for kids.
But anyway, great show. Movies. I know.
David, I'm having a hard time. Ever since God is a Bullet, I really can't think of anything. But you and I did go to the movies last Friday, and I think we did see a good one for this time of year. I'm not into all the horror and the slasher, but I did like A Haunting in Venice. And I like the Agatha Christie movies that Kenneth Branagh is in, which was Murder on the Orient Express, and then somebody got killed, somebody got dead on a boat.
Is Kenneth Branagh the lead actor?
Yeah.
I never would have got that name. I figured I would have known his name, but it was not that. Kenneth Branagh.
Wait, what are you talking about? That plays Poirot?
Yeah.
You never knew who he was?
No, I feel like I would have known his name, but it was not that.
Oh, yeah. Uh-huh. So remember they had Murder on the Orient Express? And then they had somebody got dead on a boat? That's not really...
I never thought I'd be on a boat.
Death on the Nile. Death on the Nile. And then this is the third one, and it's called A Haunting in Venice. And it's definitely a little bit different because it's far more spooky and,
But it's time,
sounds is what I was doing there. Sounds.
Time for this time of year. So
yeah. It's coming from down the hall. No one's there. It was a ghost. Was it? I don't know. I'm Poirot.
It's great. That's great.
There's a horse. Is it a horse? Or is it just a dead body wanting to come back inside and haunt us? I don't know. I am Poirot.
You doing that? I think the people that make sounds on movies
are so cool.
That would be very interesting.
Yeah. Like what is this? If you're watching a movie and you hear this sound, what is it?
Somebody tapping mud off their shoes.
David, listen. It's somebody rubbing markers together. It's just me, David.
Oh.
David, that was just...
I didn't know.
David, that was just me tapping these together. I had the purple one down here and the orange one, then I was going like that with it.
See, if you had it the other way...
Oh, David, I threw you. I threw you for a loop.
I think for that.
Oh, David.
So, what about some good books?
What about some? Why don't you tell us what you're reading right now?
You know what?
David? You don't read.
No, I listen.
Okay, what are you listening to? Sometimes people are interested, not often.
I'll have.
Oh, Lord.
I'll have to
Here
look.
we go.
All right. My current, I just opened up my audio. What's on my audiobook right now is Life-Changing Strategies to Improve Executive Function, Brain Hacks. Brain Hacks is the title.
I'm going to let him talk about a book while I give you all my facial demonstrations of the book. Go.
So I'm just getting into this book, but executive functions are the things that we do to kind of prioritize things get done. A great example that our own Miss Rachel Kushner has talked about before is, there's a table sitting beside your bed, and there's only so many things that you can put on it. And if you put too many things on it, the things are going to start to fall off, and then it's going to become messy, or maybe the whole table might fall over. That's executive function, realizing what's on the table, what is you can handle, what you can't handle, priorities. Brain hacks
for nerds. Brain hacks for nerds. It's going to be my third book. It's going to be a love letter to David. All right. Listen to me. I'm going to have a tenderoni moment. I finished up. Stop. I finished up No One Left by Riley Sager. Now, this is my goal. Okay, this is what I aspire to do, but I do not always do it. Generally, if I read a book for entertainment, afterwards, I try to read a book for principles of living, right? Like a Better Me book. Substance, okay? So that's usually, for me, by a Christian author, and it's usually just something that's going to build my faith or challenge it or something like that. I don't always do that, okay? But I try. I have followed a girl on Instagram for quite a while. And her name is Ashley Morgan Jackson, and I followed her for a while, and I just wasn't seeing her stuff. And the reason is because if you don't hit heart all the time, then you see their stuff less and less and less. I didn't know she had a new book come out.
Comment, like, share.
But the other day, I ran into a girlfriend of mine, Lori, and she said, have you read Ashley Morgan Jackson's new book? And I was like, oh my gosh, no, I didn't even know it had come out. She said, yes. So I went and got it. And I was immediately drawn to the look of it because it's called Tired of Trying. And on the book cover, it's the word tired of trying, then it's tired of trying, then it's tired of try, then it's tired of try, tired of tired of and it's like there's a letter that disappears until you get to the very, very bottom of the book, and it's just tired. And y'all, I've been tired. There's just been something in my life I have been praying about, I've been fighting for, and I'm tired of trying to move God's hand on it or change his mind about it or figure him out in it. And this book really has come at a perfect time for me. So I wanted to share it with you guys. First of all, you should go follow her. She's on Facebook at Ashley Morgan Jackson, and she's on Instagram at Ashley Morgan Jackson.
I'll put her socials and her website and everything in the description.
But the book is called Tired of Trying, and I think that I would love to explain it to you, but I can go you one better. I want to introduce you to Ashley Morgan Jackson. I got to interview her about the book, and it was a wonderful interview with somebody that I hope becomes a wonderful friend. Check it out. So I am so excited to be here with you. I wanted to come straight to the source and talk to the author herself, Ashley Morgan Jackson, of the book, Tired of Trying. Let me put that up right here. It's actually called Tired of Trying. Let's see. How to hold on to God when you're frustrated and feeling forgotten. Is that right?
Yes.
I am so excited to talk to you. Like I was saying, you have been recommended to me by friends. I've been following you on Instagram for a while. It is good to actually meet you. It's so good to meet you.
Honestly, I'm so excited because I followed you for years on Facebook, and you're hilarious. So I'm just slightly fangirling.
Well, to anybody who says they follow me, I always say, there's so much better things you could be doing with your time. Okay?
Not at all.
Well, this interview, I've got my questions here in front of me, so you're going to see me looking at them, but it couldn't come at a better time because I'm tired of trying. I'm really tired of trying. First of all, let me just get it out of the way and say I love the front of your book.
Thank you.
The front of your book is so clever. It looks like me. I felt that. I felt that cover of that book because it says tired of trying, tired of trying, tired of try. Tired of trying, until it's just tired. And I'm like, I feel that. Yeah. I feel that right there.
Yeah.
Until you're just, all the words disappear except for tired. And that's how I feel right now with a situation in my own life. But I
Mm.
want to talk about yours. I want to know, I don't know your story that went into this book. So talk
Mm.
to me about your story, where you were when all of this, how this book came to be based off of your life.
Yeah, so I constantly think, okay, this is kind of funny, Lord, that you made me name it this, because I constantly am saying that. Like my husband was joking yesterday, oh, are you tired of trying? And I'm like, haha, okay. But for me, it really like was birthed out of a season of deep anxiety and depression, as
Okay.
postpartum depression, and I didn't realize that was what it was for a long time. But essentially, I had was going to all the things and the places and the verses and the prayers and all the things that I thought used to work, and
Hmm.
no longer seemed to be working for me, and I was confused about what God was doing in my life. And
Hmm.
so basically, we went through a long season, a 5-year season of basically, I wanted him to tell me what was wrong so that I
Hmm.
could change, so we could get out of this season, because I was just so frustrated. But instead, he had me go through a wrestling season with him. So in the book, I talk a lot about Jacob wrestling
Hmm.
with God and how it's similar to seasons that we can often go through in our own lives. Yeah.
Hmm. Well, you use the phrase when it doesn't seem to be working. And what's interesting is about that is that we're told as we're growing up, especially if we grow up in the church, that you turn to God and then it works. That's what works. That's the secret ingredient. That's the prescription always and forever. So I feel almost like, oh, am I going to be struck by lightning by
Right.
saying this
Right.
isn't working anymore?
Right.
But so I want you to expand on that. But yet I feel that. What do we do when it
Yeah.
isn't working? So kind
Yeah.
of
And I
expand on
think,
that for us.
yeah, like that, I'm the exact same. And I would get so frustrated with people like, just this verse, just this prayer. And it was like, okay, like I know all that. What is going on? And so what I realized was that there's times in our lives that we have to grieve what God has chosen not to do or choosing not to do,
Mhm.
and take that stuff to him, because our temptation is to run away because we want to like get cleaned up and get better and do the right thing, and then we like, look at me, God. And
Mhm.
sometimes there's seasons where it's just like, all I got is hot mess and crying on the floor. Is that
Mhm.
okay with you? Because that's literally all I got. And I think there's a part of him that wants us to get to that place, because he wants us to know that we don't have to perform for his love. He loves us
Mm.
just because we're his children. And we, as moms, we know, like, yeah, we like it when our kids do what's right, but we're going to love
Mhm.
them no matter what
Right.
state they're in, no matter how they're hurting. And I think it's hard as growing up in the church that we think like, but if I don't check my boxes, do you still love me? And he's like, yeah.
Yes.
And so I have a whole chapter in the book called When God Hurts Your Feelings, because I think sometimes we do, like, we know he's perfect. He's not doing that on purpose. But sometimes we have to come into the wrestle and think, well, what do I do with these feelings that I have that are hurt? you know?
Right. I feel like you've given me, and hopefully those of you who are watching this interview, I feel like you've given me permission to say that this isn't working. And so I'm
Mm,
super appreciative of that. Because for me, the situation that I'm going through right now, I've done what you just described. I've prayed the exact prayers. I've read the books on the issue. I've gone through and chosen the scriptures and the Bible stories that are specifically about what my prayer need is. So
right.
I've never been able to say, look, God, this isn't working. I'm typing in the code and you're not popping out of the bottle,
Right.
like I thought you would. I'm
Right.
rubbing the lamp and you're not. So is it really, if we break it down, is it not that he's not working, but rather I'm not? Is it me? Is it me?
Yeah, right. Is it me, Laura? It's me. I'm the problem.
Yeah.
I think what it is that sometimes God's doing something different than what we are looking for. We want this outward solution to our problem, and sometimes I believe He has us go through seasons where He's doing something so deep and so internal that if he just gave us what we were asking for, that deep inner work wouldn't become a reality in our lives. I think a lot about
Mhm.
like the Israelites. They were complaining. They were set free from Egypt and then they were complaining, right? Like, we're wandering
Mhm.
around. We had better food out here. And all he would give them was just what they needed for that day. And I don't know about you,
That's
but
right.
manna living is annoying. Like, I don't want
It's horrible.
I don't
Yes,
want manna. I want, the land of milk and honey and all that.
that's
And
right.
he's like, we are going to get there, but first I have to teach you what dependence on me looks like. And
Mm.
sometimes when we're in those seasons where we're like, okay, I'm here again, it's still not working, we're learning to depend on him in a way we have not before in our lives.
Mm. Oh, you talk about symptoms, and I'm real
Mm,
big on that as well. I dealt with depression
mm,
for, gosh, many years of my life, and I can, to this day, I can feel the symptoms of that. So like when my kids get strep throat, we know because they run a low grade fever, they have a scratchy throat, they're whiny and tight. So we know what the symptoms are as parents to look at. I know what the symptoms are of when I feel that cloud coming on, right?
yeah.
But I don't think that's the type of symptoms you're talking about. But you say that there are symptoms, well, maybe it is that we notice in our lives when we are at our wits' end and we are sick of trying.
Yeah.
So talk to me about those.
I think the biggest one is just frustration. We
Okay.
want the solution, and we're trying the things, but we're in this gap in
Mhm.
between. And so I think that is an indicator when we're in a season where like we're done essentially. I think that's why I call the book Tired of Trying, because you get to a place where I've tried everything. I don't know
Mhm.
what else to do. And the only thing that's left to do really is to surrender and say like,
Right.
well, I'm just a mess and I don't know what else to do. And so I think recognizing that frustration is the place where God might be asking us to meet with him in a different, more in-depth way, because
Mhm.
he's wrestling with us. And when you see Jacob wrestling with God, that was an answer to a prayer. That was not the answer he was probably looking for. He
Right.
wanted the solution just laid out before him like all of us want. But instead God was changing him and telling him who he really was, because he had been so used to being known as a cheater and he was walking in that identity. And it was through this wrestle that God had him go through that he told him who he really was, which was he was going to rename him Israel, which meant to struggle with
Mhm.
God and man and to overcome. And that
Mhm.
wrestle mattered all the way up until today. So the wrestles that we go through with God, they matter for our generations that are coming behind us as well.
So, other than frustration, are there any other symptoms that we should be on the lookout for?
Yeah, I think, really just when you're exhausted, that's
Mm.
another thing that you can look for. Another thing is anger. For me, it was
Yeah.
I was the way that I was emotional was I was angry. I and I
Rage.
guess that
Mhm.
kind of ties into frustration. So I think just being aware also, what are your thoughts? What are you thinking about? What is it that you're going to? Is it starting to become bitter, resentful,
Mm.
or is there still hope in it? Because then
Mhm.
it's like, okay, what's happening here? I'm going down a dark path that
Mhm.
I know where that the path goes, especially
Right.
for us who struggle with our mental health. So being aware of what we're thinking as well.
And talk to the women that are watching, and men too if there are. Talk to them about what happens when we just ignore them and we stay frustrated and we stay tired and we stay sick and we stay angry. What happens when we just are like, no, 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 no. I'm just going to keep trying. I'm just going to keep running like a hamster in this wheel. What happens when we ignore the symptoms?
Eventually you do hit a wall. And
Mhm.
I think you come to a decision point. Either that God's not good or he's not good to you. And
Ooh.
I think like realizing that sometimes showing up in faith and standing on God's word looks so different, I think, when we're in these seasons, because what comes out of us in the middle of these pressing seasons is what we actually believe, which I don't like at all because there's a lot of garbage that comes out of
Right.
me. But the Lord's like, I'm trying to get this deep down and into the roots. And so we will hit a wall. Like it's inevitable. And so we might as well just bring our junk to the Lord. Like, listen, I'm mad. I'm frustrated that you're not doing this. Like, just be really honest. He already knows anyways. And so it's going to come out of us towards our husbands, to
That's
our
right.
coworkers. It will start leaking out. So you might as well just throw a fit with him because he can take it.
He can take it.
Yeah.
Okay, so when we identify lies about God, it's so important to do that, and we replace them with truth. I know that. I know that, Ashley. I've done that in my life before.
I know.
It doesn't mean it's easy to do. Man, you just said something, and I don't know if you heard me. I kind of snorted a little bit because I laughed under my breath, and you said, we began to believe that either he isn't good or he just isn't good to us. And I feel like you just read my journal. But aren't those two lies that are so easy for us to swallow?
Yes. And it's so true because first of all, my emotions are really strong and I let them boss me around all the time, because if it's not happening for me or in this moment, then like, why is it happening for somebody else? And I think the reason I had to walk through this journey and write this book is because I want to give permission to people to be like, we have to take those things to the Lord because he loves us even when we're frustrated and we're having a fit and we're over it and all of those things, because the truth is God is good. And all those things that scripture says, those things are true. We know that logically, but sometimes the wrestle is holding on to that truth even when none of it feels good, and hope, and like just putting that scripture out there. I will see the goodness of the Lord in the land of the living. I will. And like, you hold on to it like it's your breath until you see something change, right? And it's just the hope. You have to make that hope. And I saw a quote recently. It was like, people think that hope is like cobwebs and wishes. It's a girl getting beat up and getting back up and wiping the blood off her face and doing it one more time, you know?
Right. It's like my daughter who, when she was younger, she had the shirt that said fight like a girl. I mean, that's what it is. It's wiping the sweat off of your brow and going back in.
That's right.
Talk to me about being on the other side of it. Talk to me about what happens when the wrestling is over and you have seen his promise and his goodness in the land of the living. How has your life changed? What does the depression look like for you? Did it just poof go away? I mean, talk to me about the other side.
Yeah, it's funny because I just put up a story today about how I'm going to deal with my seasonal affective disorder, because it always comes around right about now. And I wish that the Lord would have just completely healed me. And I have to tell you, I'm so much better. But growing with him and walking with him and seeing healing in so many things is a process. I think so. For some people, it could be boom and great for them. That's awesome. For me, it's always been a little bit of we're going to army crawl our way through this.
Right.
And just practicing, the Lord will offer me ideas and things that I can do to implement. And really, there is a fighter in me. I can see that fighter in you too, of just, we're going to hold on no matter what. But he has set me free in so many ways. And now I have tools to know how to actually address these things rather than it coming on me and feeling like it's happening to me. It's like, no, I'm going to say these things and I'm going to do these things. And it doesn't feel as crushing as it did in the past, even though it's still hard.
Because you have seen what happens when you hang on and you don't let go.
That's right.
What is the last, as we finish this up, what is the one thing that you would say to someone today who, and I'm going to put the name of the book up one more time, who says, okay, I'm going to order this book. What is it you want them to know?
I want you to know that I'm sorry if it's hard right now. And the Lord has compassion for you in the middle of that. But with everything that you have, hold on to him, because he is worthy and because it will be worth it. It might not be fast or easy, but God is for you in the middle of this. Even in your mess and brokenness, just be a hot mess. Don't try to fix it all up. It's okay. He loves you just as you are. One of my favorite things that I say in the book is, God is not more in love with a future, holier version of you. He loves you as you are right now.
Woo, girl, that's a great way to end it right there. That's a great way. Ashley Morgan Jackson, they can buy your book anywhere books are sold, I'm hoping.
Yep. Yes.
Wonderful.
Yes.
Wonderful. Don't go anywhere. I want to say something to you after I finish recording
Okay.
this. So don't go anywhere. But you guys go check out her book right now. Thank you so much for being on our show today.
Thanks for having me.
Now do you see? Now do you see why I like the book?
Yeah.
I told David, I actually sent David an email. I was like, get her on here for an interview. Get her on here. And that's the reason why. That book, it's just timely for me. But I don't know, it's timely for a lot of you as well. Like it's Q4, everybody. It's the last quarter of this year. And some of us are really, really tired. We're just tired of struggling, trying to figure it out, trying to figure out why it's working for some people and it isn't working for us. And then we just begin to believe these lies that we know are not the case, but my goodness. And when she said, what was it? She said, we begin to think that either God isn't good or he's just not good to us. And that was like, oh, that was a deep one. So check out her book, Tired of Trying by Ashley Morgan Jackson. And I thank her again and again and again for being a part of our show.
Isn't it so nice when you read something and it like does something for you, but then you get to meet the person
and they live up.
They're actually, they're actually good. You enjoy them.
They live up to it.
Yeah. And so, because sometimes people can write great stuff and then you kind of get to know them or you look deeper and you're like,
hey.
But the whole package is there. So be sure, check out in the description, follow her on her socials and her website. And if you don't have the book yet, click the link and purchase her book as well.
You put it in the...
It's all in the description.
Oh, wonderful. Get it. Hey, you guys, have a wonderful weekend, and thanks for being with us today. Be sure and tell your friends about the Radke Show. I think we're starting to move and groove on this, David. I really do. I think we're going to be somebody. Have a wonderful weekend. Don't forget your golden moment. How are you going to know how to exist this weekend and grow as a person if you don't have my words of wisdom? I love y'all. Bye.
See you guys.
Every decision that we make today is going to count for our future self. So every decision I make today, every relationship I start and begin, or every person I pour into, every class I take, every book I read, it's going to be pouring into my future self. I'm not here to just make me better today. I'm here to make the new Melissa, the new improved Melissa. As I get older, I want to be wiser. I want to be smarter. I want to do better. Don't you? See, some of you look at your life and you think, no, my life, it stinks right now and it's going to always stink. But I'm telling you, you've been given a future and it's the kind with a promise and a hope. So are you pouring into it? You should. I love you.